Unsung Murder Ballads discusses topics of a disturbing nature.
And we're not going to hold back on the graphic details and disturbing content.
So we do not recommend our podcast for children under the age of 13.
And while we respect the victims and their families involved in these tragic cases,
we're also going to be critical of mistakes that are made during the investigations.
And we're going to use dark humor to express ourselves now and then.
So with that said, this podcast may not be for everyone.
And that's okay. We're glad you're here checking us out.
And if you've made it this far, welcome to the Unsung Murder Ballads family. And follow us on Instagram at Unsung Murder Ballads if you want to talk to us.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsung Murder Ballads. This is episode 55. I am Janus Dead.
And I'm Joyous Dead.
All right, so tonight it's just the two of us, but that's okay. You know, we're recording this on Super Bowl Sunday, and some of us are more committed than others to sports, you know, and those kind of events.
Yeah, I'll watch the halftime show later, and I'll be fine with it.
Yeah, and I used to want to watch it for the commercials, but now I'm like, meh, I'm good. So
if anything, I'm watching it because the people around me have good snacks.
That's a good point too. And in fact, I'm not a big sports fan. Anyone that knows me knows that. But I've actually been to like Fenway and seen the Red Sox play. But I'm much more involved in the party around me than I am the event itself.
Oh, all day.
Yes.
I can get down with a sport, but it's about the people you're with.
Exactly. And I'm more likely to play a sport than I am to just watch a sport.
Yeah, me too. R.I.P. my ACL.
I turned 50 this year, and
you don't. Oh my God,
do.
what?
I do. I turned 50 this year, and I think about that all the time. So like whenever I'm doing something physical, I'm like, I got to be careful now. Like it's not the same as it was, you know?
Yeah, you better be careful. I'm literally still a baby and I destroyed my knee. So
yeah, and well, I mean, and the military did a number on my lower back, my knees,
Oof.
you know, so I do think about that stuff. So when I have people like friends who are like, hey, let's go skiing, I'm like, no.
No.
That's just no
way. You're not gonna catch me doing that.
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, I'm not.
No shade to our skiers listening. No shade, all right?
Yes, have fun with it. Yeah, I'll support you. I'll be
in the hot tub.
I was about to say,
girl.
I'll be in the building drinking hot cocoa, waving.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, I'll be in the hot tub. Y'all have fun in the cold and wet.
Yep, I'm good. You know,
I'm having a beer in the hot tub.
I'll do water skiing because that's a hell of a lot safer. But
is it?
It is because I mean it's still a lot of work on your legs, but overall, like if you fall, yeah, you get hurt in the water, but it's not the same as going at that speed and hitting like snow and rock and ice.
All right, fair. All right, well, listeners, I hope you enjoyed our quick little risk assessment of various sports.
Yes.
What's the case tonight, Janice?
All right, so in fact, I'm going to start it off with the teaser before I tell you the case. Okay?
All right, let's go.
All right, it's 1960s England, and you're a young kid out on your own. A relatively pretty young woman asks you to help her locate a glove that she's lost. You travel with her to the nearby moors, which is in a nice weather is a beautiful scene. And for those that don't know, a moor is an open area of land that is usually foggy. It's sometimes rocky. It's typically rolling hills, but the ground is generally infertile ground. So you're not getting trees or crops out of it.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Now, what you don't know about this woman is that she didn't actually lose a glove.
You're kidding me.
She is simply the bait for a trap. One thought up by her boyfriend. And now that you're alone in the moors, he appears.
Ooh. Am I a female child or a male child?
Depends on the victim.
Oh, no.
So
I hate that. I hate that.
You, however, will never be seen alive again.
Oh.
And this is the case that is known as the Moors murders and the vile couple of Ian Brady and Myra Hindley.
Ugh. Well, I hate them already.
And you should. Because this is fucking awful.
Yeah, this is already sounding fucking awful. So, happy Wednesday to listeners.
Ian Brady was born in Glasgow, Scotland as Ian Duncan Stewart on January 2nd, 1938. His mother had little support, and after a few months, she was forced to give her son into the care of another local couple that had 4 children of their own.
Oof, we've seen this story.
They've seen this a lot. It's crazy how you can really start to see trends.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some reports state that he tortured animals, although he denied the accusations. but he is
Huh?
reported to have killed a cat when he was 10. He supposedly burned another cat alive and threw stones at dogs and beheaded rabbits.
Okay, it's already giving serial killer from the start.
Oh, and that's exactly what this couple is.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh
So,
great. Ugh. All right. Here we go.
so Brady, as a teenager, was twice charged for breaking into people's homes, and he quit school at 15 and began working. He had a girlfriend named Evelyn Grant, but their relationship ended after he threatened her with a knife because she went to a dance with another boy.
Well, I sure hope it ended after that. Yeah.
Thank God, right? Like, again, this has been one of those things. She must look back now and be like, thank God I walked away.
For real.
Yeah.
For real.
So his behavior landed him in court again. This time he was charged with 9 different accounts, like 9 different crimes. And shortly before his 17th birthday, he was placed on probation with the condition that he return and live with his mother.
Mamma mia, we are off to a bad start.
Mm-hmm. So Brady's mother at that point was living in Manchester, and she had married an Irish fruit merchant named Patrick Brady. Patrick got Ian a job as a fruit porter as well, and Ian took on Patrick's last name, which is Brady, which is how I will continue to refer to him.
Got you.
Within a year of moving to Manchester, Brady was caught with a sack full of lead seals that he had stolen and was trying to smuggle out of the market.
Is that like a
It's
valuable commodity?
It must have been in the 1950s.
Okay. Sure.
I don't know. It's weird to me. I'm not going to lie.
All right. Yes, and sure.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they were expensive enough that when you have a sack full of them, they were like, you know what? We're charging you with a crime.
Hey, girl, you know I got a sack of lead seals with me. You know what I'm saying?
It's just weird. But
It's so weird.
he was sentenced to prison for 3 months.
Okay, for theft. All
Yep.
right.
But because he was still under 18, he was actually sent. He had to serve that sentence in a youth housing unit for quote unquote training.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, a little
In the
weird.
50s.
So he was released on November 14th, 1957, and he returned to Manchester where he took on, random jobs here and there in very quick succession. He then decided to better himself and obtained a set of instruction manuals on bookkeeping that he took out of a public library.
Okay, he said, I'm going to be an accountant. Work.
Weird. I mean, again, it's the 1950s in England, because to me, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, if you're going to better yourself, you're going to do something more than just take out books from the library. But hey,
Actually, that sounds more 1950s. What are you going to do? Google how to do shit? You can't.
that's true. That's true. I guess
If
you
I'm
have.
like trying to make myself better, I'm Googling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
I mean, I would just picture going to school, but I guess taking a book out of the library works too.
This man probably doesn't have a high school diploma.
Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, he left school when he was 15. Yeah, so you're right.
It probably would be hard for him to just casually go to school.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. Okay, I stand corrected. So in January of 1959, he applied for and was offered a clerical job at a wholesale chemical distribution company.
Okay.
His
Working.
colleagues regarded him as quiet, punctual, but short-tempered.
Okay.
Now, he did read other books, and these included
Uh-oh.
these included Teaching Yourself German,
No. I know where this is going. You're going to go to Mein Kampf, aren't you?
Mein Kampf,
Yup. Okay.
as well as works on other Nazi atrocities. So, yeah.
Ooh, we can see it coming. We can
Yep.
smell it from a mile away.
So now for the second half of this diabolical duo. Myra Hindley was born on July 23rd, 1942. Her father was an alcoholic who was frequently violent towards his wife and children.
Mm-hmm.
The family home was in poor condition, and Hindley was forced to sleep in a single bed next to her parents' double bed.
Oh, that's bad vibe. I think I know where that's going.
This living situation deteriorated further when Hindley's younger sister Maureen was born in August of 1946, and then the following year, 5-year-old Myra was sent to live with her grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Hindley's father had served in the military and was stationed in North Africa, Cyprus, and Italy during the Second World War. He had been known as a hard man while in the army, and he expected his daughter to be equally tough.
Oh, I hate that. We hate passing on generational trauma like that.
Yeah.
Bro, don't give your fucking World War II trauma to your child.
Yeah, but you know what? I would prefer this than where I think you thought this was going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So he taught her to fight and insisted that she stick up for herself. When she was 8, a local boy had scratched her cheek, having drawn blood. She started to cry and ran to her father, and he threatened to quote-unquote leather her if she did not retaliate.
Oh, shit.
Hindley went and found the boy and knocked him down with a series of punches.
Damn, girl.
Yeah, she was not fucking around.
No, she was serious. I mean, I guess he achieved his goal of making her tough.
That's very true. Unfortunately, we know where this is going.
Yep.
So in June of 1957, one of Hindley's closest friends, a 13-year-old boy named Michael Higgins, had invited her to go swimming with other friends at a local reservoir. But she instead had decided to go out with another friend. Her friend Michael had drowned in that reservoir that day.
Oh my God.
And Hindley, who was a good swimmer, blamed herself and was
Ugh.
deeply upset because had she been there, she might have been able to save him.
Oh, that's really tough.
Yeah, so she carried that with her, which you'll kind of see how things play out.
Mm-hmm.
So her first job was a junior clerk at a local electrical engineering firm. She ran errands, typed, made tea, and was well liked enough that when she lost her first paycheck, the other girls that worked there took up a collection to help her replace it.
Wow. Okay. So she was well liked.
Which is amazing. I'll be honest, I
Yeah.
don't know anyone who would do that here that I know.
Right. For real.
So at 17, Hindley took weekly judo lessons at a local school.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, fuck. And she was actually finding it hard to find a partner to train with her because apparently she was slow to release her grip on them.
Oh, girl.
All right, so in January of 1961, at this point she's 18, and she starts working in a place called Millwards as a typist, and it's here that she meets Ian Brady. She soon became infatuated with him, even after she learned that he had a criminal record.
Damn, girl. Yeah, I can see how she wouldn't care that much about that.
Probably not, yeah. But on December 22nd, he finally asked her out, and they had gone out to see a movie. And their dates basically followed a regular pattern. A trip to the cinema. Oftentimes they would go see an X-rated film, which in the 1950s, 60s.
Scandal.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Yeah. Then they would go back to Hindley's house and they would drink wine. Brady then gave her reading material, and the pair spent their lunch breaks reading aloud to one another from the Nazi atrocity books.
I hate it.
Right?
No.
Hindley then began to emulate the ideal of Aryan perfection, bleaching her hair blonde and applying thick crimson lipstick.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's not good. Hindley began to change her appearance further, wearing clothing considered risque for the time, such as high boots, short skirts, and leather jackets, and the two became less sociable to all of their colleagues.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're like, oh my God, this scandalous girl, she's wearing boots. Blimey, those boots are tall. Don't you think?
Nice. So the couple were regulars at the library, borrowing out books on philosophy as well as crime and torture.
Oh,
They also
who's writing these books about torture?
Well, I was about to say they also started taking books out written by the Marquis de Sade, Frederick.
The Hoobs?
The Marquis de Sade. You don't know who that is?
Nope.
Oh, he was famous French writer. He was writing like really graphic, basically like sexual torture porn back in the day, like 100+ years ago. It was really
shit. Wait, how do you spell this?
Marquis, and then DE, and then SADE. The Marquis de Sade. There's a really good movie about him. I'll have to look it up. Jeffrey Rush is in it. It's so good.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Closing that tab. I'll look at it later.
Okay. So they were reading works by the Marquis de Sade, Friedrich Nietzsche, and Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment.
Interesting.
Now-
Interesting.
Now, although Hindley was not a qualified driver, she passed her test in 1963 but had failed it 3 times prior. She would often rent a van, and the couple would drive around as they planned to commit bank robberies.
Jesus.
Well, Brady and Hindley's plans to rob banks came to nothing. But
Well, naturally, robbing banks is kind of hard.
yeah, it was probably easier then, but yes, it's not easy.
True. We have talked about how easy some crimes used to be.
Exactly. So, but they did start to take up an interest in photography, and the pair would take photographs of each other that were, for the time, considered explicit.
Oh, I bet. Oh, I bet she was showing some knee.
Yeah, right. Some thigh. Oh my goodness.
Oh my god, not
Maybe
oh my god, not the collarbone.
Oof,
Ugh.
my God. Some shoulders.
No, not the shoulder. Please, I'm sweating.
So by June of 1963, Brady had moved in with her at her grandmother's house, which is just weird to me, but okay.
Yeah, that's a weird vibe.
So in July of 63, Brady told Hindley that he wanted to commit the perfect murder. Yeah, escalated
Normal
very
romantic
quickly.
Conversation.
It escalated very quickly.
Oh, great.
So after work, he instructed her to drive a rented van around while he followed on his motorcycle. And when he spotted a victim that he wanted, he would flash his headlight. So they were driving down Gorton Lane, and Brady saw a young girl and singled Hindley, who did not stop because she recognized the girl as her mother's 8-year-old neighbor.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So they're doing this close to fucking home.
Yeah, they're doing it in Manchester. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So sometime after 7:30 p.m. on Foxmer Street, Brady signaled Hindley to stop for a 16-year-old named Pauline Reed.
Ugh.
Pauline had
Oh,
attended
no.
school with Hindley's younger sister Maureen and had also been in a short relationship with a local boy named David Smith, who had 3 criminal convictions for minor crimes. Now put him in your back pocket because he's going to be important later.
Okay.
Now, Hindley pulled over and offered Pauline a ride. Now, at various times, Hindley has given conflicting statements about the extent of which she versus Brady was responsible for what happened next. But with that said, Hindley felt that there would be less attention given to the disappearance of a teenager than that of an 8-year-old. Yeah. Yeah.
I guess.
It's fucked up. Yeah. Either way, it's still a child.
Right. I mean, with what we talked about before, a 16-year-old, they're going to say that's a runaway.
So,
An 8-year-old, they're going to be like, this was a kidnapping.
right. So once Pauline was in the van, Hindley asked her to help in searching Saddleworth Moor for an expensive glove that she claimed she had lost. Pauline knew Hindley, so she agreed, and they drove there.
Oh, right. Like, it's a person you know and you're trusting them. That's so scary.
It's so fucked up.
So fucking scary and fucked up.
I mean, just imagine if you were walking down the street and I pulled up and was like, hey, get in, I'm looking for something. You wouldn't hesitate.
No.
I mean, the good news is you have nothing to worry about, but...
Right, and I know that. You're not just a vague acquaintance.
Right, yeah, I'm not a friend of your siblings, yeah. So, when Brady arrived on his motorcycle, Hindley told Pauline that he would also be helping them search for her glove. Hindley later claimed that she waited in the van while Brady took Pauline out onto the moor.
Oh, no.
Brady returned alone after 30 minutes and took Hindley to the spot where Pauline was laying, dying.
Jesus.
Pauline's clothes were in disarray, and she had been nearly decapitated by 2 cuts to her throat, including a 4-inch incision across her voice box.
Oh my god.
That was inflicted with so much force that the collar of her coat and her necklace that she was wearing had been pushed into the wound.
Oh my god.
Yeah. When Hindley asked Brady whether or not he had raped Pauline, Brady simply replied, "Of course I did."
Oh, fuck. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah. So Hindley stayed with Pauline while Brady retrieved a shovel that he had hidden nearby on a previous visit. And then Hindley returned to the van while Brady buried Pauline. Now, in Brady's accounts of events, Hindley was not only present for the attack, but had participated in the sexual assault.
Oh.
So really hard to know what the whole truth here is.
Yeah.
Yeah, fucked up. Pauline was reported missing, but police could find no one who had seen Pauline before her disappearance. And although her former boyfriend David Smith was questioned by police, he was cleared of any involvement in her death. Now again, keep him in your back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So the couple's next victim was a boy named John Kilbride. In the early evening of November 23rd, 1963, at a market in Ashton-under-Lyne, Brady and Hindley offered 12-year-old John a ride home.
Oh my God, fucking 12-year-old. Jesus Christ.
Yep, they talked him into the vehicle, saying that his parents might be worried that he was out so late. They also promised him, and this one blows my mind, they also promised him a bottle of sherry. You know, alcohol.
Yup.
Kind of an odd choice to offer a 12-year-old, but he was up for it, apparently.
I mean, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes kids are like, haha, that's so cool, I want to drink, even if they're like young.
But-
Mommy, I would love to have a drink.
But for me at 12, I wouldn't have wanted the alcohol, but the pretty girl would have been enough to get me in the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So once John was inside Hindley's rental car, Brady said that they would need to go to their home for the sherry, and he also suggested that, maybe they take a trip to the moor because, Hindley had lost her glove there. When they reached the moor, Brady took John with him while Hindley waited in the car. Brady sexually assaulted John and tried to slit his throat with a 6-inch serrated blade.
Oh my God.
Before strangling him with a shoelace or a string.
God.
So after John didn't come home, police were contacted and a huge search was undertaken, with police taking over 700 statements and posting 500 missing posters.
Fuck, that's so sad.
8 days after he failed to return home, 2,000 volunteers scoured derelict buildings and other areas that were kind of still like a wasteland from the war.
Mm-hmm.
So Hindley rented a vehicle a week after John went missing, and on December 21st, she returned to the moor to make sure that the burial sites had not been disturbed.
Oh, God.
In the evening of June 16th, 1964, so it's now been a year, Hindley asked 12-year-old Keith Bennett, who was on his way to his grandmother's house, for help loading some boxes into her vehicle, after which she would drive him home. Brady was waiting in the back of the van.
Oh.
Hindley drove to a rest area on Saddleworth Moor, and Brady went off with Keith.
Oh. She's so fucked up for encouraging and enabling this. I can't.
Yeah, I don't understand, like, the obsession. Like, how fucked up do you have to be like in love with someone to help them select victims to kill?
To sexually assault and kill.
Yeah, let alone how young they are. It's
right,
so
like what the
fucked
fuck?
Up. Yeah. This isn't the only couple killer on my list to cover either. Eventually we'll get to eventually we're going to get to one called the Ken and Barbie killer, which is so
shit, that sounds
up.
interesting.
Yeah, that one's even worse at the end. Yeah.
Oh no.
So, after about 30 minutes, Brady returned alone, carrying the shovel that he had hidden there earlier. And in response to Hindley's questions, he said that, of course, he sexually assaulted Keith and strangled him. Like, duh.
Ugh. Like, obviously, yeah, that's what he's done every other time, so why would you be surprised?
So, in a further tragic twist, young Keith's stepfather, a man named Jimmy Johnson, became a suspect in Keith's disappearance.
Sucks.
In the 2 years following Keith's disappearance, Jimmy was taken in for questioning on 4 different occasions.
Oh.
Detectives searched under the floorboards of Jimmy's house, but when they discovered that his house was part of a row of buildings that were all connected, they expanded their search to the entire street, pulling up floorboards and shit. They were convinced he was the one.
Damn.
And
I mean, I'm sure they were grasping onto anything they had. It's just such a random crime that...
Right, and at this point, that's 3 missing kids. Right?
Mm-hmm.
3?
Yeah, so you
3.
have to be trying.
Yeah. So, in yet another bizarre twist, Hindley's sister Maureen went on and married David Smith, The guy I said keep in your back pocket.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. So he's now part of the family. They got married in August of 1964, and the marriage was hastily arranged and performed at the registrar's office. And
Huh.
none of Maureen's relatives attended.
Huh.
Even Hindley did not approve of their marriage, and her mother was embarrassed because Maureen was already 7 months pregnant at the wedding.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's why it
Yes.
was so rushed.
So the newlyweds moved into David Smith's father's house. It was after this that Brady and Smith met for the first time, and they grew closer.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Hindley was apparently jealous of their friendship, but at the same time, she was becoming, close to her sister again.
Mm-hmm. This was weird.
In 1964, Hindley, her grandmother, and Brady were rehoused as part of the post-war slum clearances of Manchester. So basically, during the bombing of World War II, the infrastructure in certain areas were really damaged and devastated. So England was rebuilding their cities. So they basically said to the people in these particular areas, you have to move because we have to come in here and rebuild. We have to fix
Right, we got to
everything.
do something better here.
Right. So they were relocated, and they were moved to a different area on Wardlebrook Avenue. And
Okay,
Hindley and Brady became friendly with an 11-year-old girl that lived a few houses down named Patricia Hodges.
Oh.
So Patricia would accompany the two on their trips to Saddleworth Moor to collect peat. Now, something many householders of this new estate had to do to improve their soil for gardening was to go up there and get this peat to help the soil.
Yep.
So this girl would go up there with them.
Oh, they're gonna dump her in the peat bog.
So they never harmed Patricia because she lived only a few doors away, and they knew that this would make them easier for police to find if she disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
So Patricia was sort of saved because of her proximity to them.
And that's all.
It's so fucked up.
It's so fucked up and scary.
So early on Boxing Day, 1964, Hindley left her grandmother at a relative's house and refused to allow her home that night.
What the hell?
And that was because that night, Brady and Hindley visited a fun fair and noticed 10-year-old.
No, they just keep getting younger.
Yeah, well, and everything escalates, and that's the problem with serial killers.
Things always escalate.
10-year-old Leslie Ann Downey was apparently alone at this fair. So they approached her. They deliberately dropped some items that they were carrying in front of her and then asked her for help carrying their packages to their car. And then they asked her to, help them bring them in their home. Which, 1960s, innocent little 10-year-old girl.
Right. Why would she expect anything?
Yeah. Once inside the house, Leslie Ann was undressed, gagged, forcefully posed for photographs before being raped and killed. Yeah.
Oh, that's so awful.
So fucked up. I can't even imagine what this little girl went through.
Right, this shit's so bad.
And, I mean, we'll get to it after, but I'm a little teaser on that. It's even worse.
Oh, God. Oh.
Yeah. Hindley later maintained that at some point she went to fill a bath for Leslie Ann, and when she returned, she found her dead.
Yeah, bullshit. Why would you be pulling a bath for someone that you're torturing? That's such bullshit.
Yeah, and Brady claimed that it was actually Hindley who had killed Leslie Ann.
Huh. It's like, who the fuck do you believe?
Exactly.
I'm blaming them both for everything.
Well, and they're both guilty of everything as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I agree.
So the following morning, Brady and Hindley drove Leslie Ann's body to Saddleworth Moor and buried her, naked, with her clothing folded at her feet in a shallow grave.
Oh, that's weird fucking behavior. Oh, that's you want someone to find it, to me.
Well,
that's weird.
Definitely weird, yes. I'll give you that.
They're burying all these victims in the same place? Like,
well, the moor is huge. Like, it's a big area, yeah. So despite a huge search, unfortunately, Leslie Ann was not found at that time.
Damn, and no one has found any of these graves.
They're all just missing at this point.
That's crazy.
Well, you got to remember that at one point, Hindley admitted to going back to make sure the graves were undisturbed. So she's probably doing that more than once, would be my guess.
Yeah, that would make sense.
So the following day, after Leslie Ann's murder, Hindley brought her grandmother back home. Because, she doesn't need her gone anymore.
Yep.
Just so fucked up.
It's so fucked up. Literally, like, get out of the house so we can do some murder.
In February of 1965, so we're well over a year and a half at this point. Patricia.
Wait, it's only been a year and a half?
Yeah, it's only been a year and a half.
That's a lot of people. Holy shit. And that's a lot of missing people in that area.
It's a lot of missing people in one area. Agreed. So, February of 1965, Patricia had stopped, the little girl had stopped visiting them. But David Smith was becoming a regular visitor.
Oh my god, it's so fucked and weird.
Brady had given David Smith books to read.
No.
And the two began discussing robbery and murder.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. This reminds me of the Snowtown murders.
Yeah.
Yeah, where he just kept bringing in more people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just like, come on in.
So on Hindley's 23rd birthday, her sister and brother-in-law were rehoused also from their area, and they were moved not too far from where Brady and Hindley were living. So
great. So
the two couples began spending more time together regularly, but always on Brady's terms.
Interesting. Okay.
On the evening of October 6, 1965, Hindley drove Brady to Manchester Central Railway Station, where she waited outside in the car while he went in and selected a victim.
I fucking hate this shit.
A few minutes later, Brady reappeared in the company of 17-year-old Edward Evans. Edward was an apprentice engineer who lived in Ardwick, and he introduced Hindley to him as his sister.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, exactly.
That's,
They drove to Brady and Hindley's home, where they all just relaxed and started drinking some wine.
What the hell? Why is this kid just going with a stranger? I mean, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, exactly. But we're going to cover this case eventually, another case eventually, where there's a strong likelihood, because I don't want to ruin which case it'll be, but like going out and meeting someone, like two men going out and meeting each other for sexual encounters and going back to another man's house wasn't all that uncommon.
Right, that makes sense. It's all like, and it's dangerous, but it's all down low. Yeah.
Right, and it's the 60s where it's not out there like it is today, where it's okay to go out and meet people. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there's like, I mean, there's a whole like fucking shenanigans you had to do.
Exactly.
Certainly weren't any like dating apps where you can sort and filter.
No, there wasn't. The dating apps were talking.
It was called talking to each other. I wonder what that was like back in the olden days.
I read somewhere that they said Snapchat destroyed teenage romance. So
interesting.
Yeah.
I would say, actually, I don't know. Snapchat like kind of existed when I was a teenager, but we weren't quite as, our phones weren't that good yet.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
Phones were still kind of shitty back then.
So while they were enjoying some wine, Brady told Hindley to go and get David Smith. Hindley returned with David, but told him to wait outside for her signal, which would be flashing a light.
What the heck?
When the signal came, David knocked on the door and was met by Brady, who asked him if he had come for, quote, the miniature wine bottles, unquote, and then left David standing in the kitchen saying that he was going to collect the wine.
The fuck?
This next section I'm going to read is a quote from David that he would later tell police.
Okay.
I waited for a minute or two. Then suddenly I heard a hell of a scream. It sounded like a woman, really high-pitched. And then the screams carried on, one after another, really loud. And then I heard Myra shout, "Dave, help him," very loud. When I ran in, I just stood inside the living room and I saw a young lad. He was lying with his head and shoulders on the couch and his legs were on the floor. He was facing upwards. Ian was standing over him, facing him with his legs on either side of the young lad's legs. The lad was still screaming. Ian had a hatchet in his hand. He was holding it above his head, and he hit the lad on the left side of his head with the hatchet.
Oh, Jesus.
I heard the blow. It was a terrible hard blow. It sounded horrible. Unquote.
Oh.
David then watched Brady throttle Edward with a length of electrical cord.
Ooh.
Now, in the struggle, Brady had sprained his ankle, and he then turned to David and asked him to carry Edward's body to his car for him.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Edward's body was too heavy for David to carry to the car.
Oh, so David's cooperating. He's going along with it.
Edward's body was too heavy for David to carry to the car on his own. So they wrapped...
And when you said he told this to police, I thought it was going to say, like, he was like, oh, fuck no, I don't fuck with that. Like,
Oh, just wait. Give it time. Give it time.
okay, all right.
David is in a dangerous situation right now.
That is very true. That's true. This kid is already dead no matter what.
Yes.
He's
So-
got to keep himself safe.
He did help him wrap it in plastic sheeting, and they put the body in a spare bedroom. Yeah. After the murder of Edward, David agreed to return the following morning with his baby's stroller to transport the body to the car so they could... Yeah, right? So they could so they could dispose of it at the morgue. He returned home at 3 a.m. and asked his wife to make him a cup of tea. Once he was done drinking it, he vomited and started telling his wife everything that he had witnessed. At 6:10 a.m., having waited for the sun to come up, David armed himself with a screwdriver and a bread knife, just in case Brady was planning to intercept him. He then went to a nearby phone booth and he called the police. He was picked up by a police car and then taken to Hyde Police Station, where he told officers what he had witnessed in the night.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah. I know what you were going with, and I didn't want to ruin it. But yes, he was in
Yes,
a really
okay.
shitty situation.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, like, he was brought into it and he had no idea what was going to happen.
Yeah, he had no clue what they were about to do.
Yeah, and once you're in there, you're going to get killed too if you're like, whoa.
Yeah,
like,
what are you going to
freaking
do?
out.
Even if you tried to run, you might get caught.
No, 100%.
So Superintendent Bob Talbot of the Stalybridge Police Division went to Wardlebrook Avenue, accompanied by a detective sergeant. Wearing a bread delivery man's overall over his uniform, which I think is funny,
Okay.
he went and asked Hindley at their back door if her husband was home. She denied that she had a husband or that a man was in the house at all, and at that point, Talbot identified himself. Hindley then let them inside the house, where Brady was sitting in the living room writing a letter to his employer about his injured ankle.
What the fuck? So she's like, no, there's no man here, and then immediately lets them in.
Oh,
Where
you're
they
the
see that there's a
police?
man?
Come on in. Yeah, weird. Talbot explained that he was investigating an act of violence involving guns that was reported to have taken place the previous evening.
Okay, there we go.
Hindley denied that there was any violence and allowed the police to look around the house. Police, of course, found the spare bedroom locked.
Of course.
So when they asked her to get the key to the room, she claimed that she had left it at her workplace. But when police said, okay, we'll drive to your workplace to get this key, and that's when Brady told her to just hand it over and let them open the door.
Okay, so, all right.
Yeah, they know
They
the
should be
jig
calling
is
for
up.
backup, like,
Yeah,
for real.
You'd think so, yeah. So after the police found the body as David had explained it, they then returned to the living room and arrested Brady on suspicion of murder.
And not fucking Hindley?
Well, not yet, no.
Oh my god. Well, there's reverse sexism in action.
Yes,
of course
exactly.
the man is the murderer.
Well, as Brady was getting dressed, he told them that, quote, Eddie and I had a row and the situation got out of hand, unquote.
Huh.
So though Hindley was not initially arrested, she demanded to go with Brady to the police station, taking her dog with her. Yeah, she's got one of those little shitty dogs, right?
Of course she does.
She refused to make any statements about Edward's death, beyond claiming that it had been an accident, and she was allowed to go home on the condition that she return the next day. Over the next 4 days, Hindley visited her employer and asked to be dismissed so that she could collect unemployment benefits. Which is just
Okay.
so ridiculous.
It is. Most employers wouldn't do that.
Especially when you say my boyfriend's been arrested on suspicion of murder.
Literally. Well, I
However,
wish you didn't say that part.
no, I'm certain, but it has to be in the news by now. It's a small, I mean, Manchester's a pretty big city, I guess, but
Yeah, but they don't have the news cycle.
that's true too. Yeah.
It's not the 24-hour news cycle that we have.
So on October 11th, she was arrested and taken into custody, charged with accessory to murder for the murder of Edward.
There we go.
So police started searching their house and found an old exercise book with the name John Kilbride written inside.
Ooh.
Yes, and this, of course, made them suspect Brady and Hindley being involved in the disappearance of other people in the area. So,
Of course. There we go. They were keeping memorabilia. Idiots.
just wait.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Brady told police that he and Edward had fought and insisted that he and David Smith had murdered Evans and that
Oh my god.
and that Hindley had only done what she had been told to do.
Crazy.
So yeah, he's trying to fuck David Smith over and
Yup.
exonerate his girlfriend.
Yup.
David said
Fucked
that
up.
David said that Brady had asked him to return anything incriminating, such as quote unquote dodgy books, which Brady had packed into suitcases. Now he said he had no idea what were in the suitcases or where they might be, but he did mention that Brady had kind of a thing for going to the railway stations, where at the time they used to keep lockers in like transport stations. They used to have them at the airports too, where you could, if you had a long layover, you could just lock your stuff in a locker, leave the airport or the train station, go about the city, and come back later.
Oh, that's pretty great.
Yeah.
I've seen that in, like, not affiliated with the airport, but I've seen it in other countries. It's pretty solid.
Yeah, when I was in the Marine Corps, I landed in Los Angeles and I had an 8-hour layover. So I put my bags in a locker and went out in LA and had a good time for like 5 hours and then came back. You can't do that after 9/11.
No, I was going to say this was pre 9/11, right?
Yeah, it was 95.
Oh my
Told
god.
you, I'm old.
The year I was born.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh my God.
Crazy.
So the police then went and started going to like railway stations and even started looking in the kind of offices where left luggage was. Like if someone forgot to pick something up,
Mm-hmm.
and they started searching there and actually found these suitcases.
That's crazy.
Right. But once again, put a pin in that because we're going to touch base on these suitcases again a little later.
Oh boy.
And the ironic part is these suitcases, they found the claim ticket in Hindley's prayer book at the house.
Bruh.
Yeah.
They're stupid.
So inside one of these cases, along with an assortment of costumes, notes, photographs, and negatives, were 9 pornographic photographs of Leslie Ann Downey.
Oh.
She was naked with a scarf tied around her mouth.
Oh.
And a 16-minute audio recording of her screaming, crying, and pleading to be allowed to return home to her mother.
Oh my fucking god.
Yeah. Leslie Ann's mother later confirmed that the recording was that of her daughter. Now, I'm sorry. Making a mother listen to something like that is not okay.
No, and also, like, I see why they were just trying to build a case. No.
Yeah.
They didn't need that piece of evidence.
That's fucked up.
That's no. That's no.
Yeah. So officers making inquiries at neighboring houses spoke to 12-year-old Patricia Hodges, who had on several occasions been taken to Saddleworth Moor, and she was able to point out the favorite spots where they would stop.
That's crazy that they had taken her there before.
Yeah, it's weird. Like you gotta.
It feels like they were contemplating hurting her.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm betting that Brady was ready to do it, and Hindley kept talking him out of that one.
Maybe.
Because she was the one that kept the first girl from being abducted, the 8-year-old.
Right, that's true.
So she must have been that voice of reason that was like, she lives 2 doors down. You're going to get us caught.
Right, for real. And you spend time with her and everyone knows that.
Yes. So police immediately began to search that area. And on October 16th, they found an arm bone protruding from the peat.
Oh,
which was initially presumed to be that of John Kilbride.
Mm-hmm.
But it was later identified as Leslie Ann Downey, whose body was still visually identifiable.
Oh.
And her mother, once again, this poor woman, was able to identify the clothing that had been buried along with her at her grave.
Oh.
So also among the photographs in the suitcases were a number of scenes from the moors. Now, David Smith told police that Brady had boasted about photographic proof of multiple murders, and officers became suspicious of Brady's decision to remove these obviously innocent landscape photos from his house. And they started to realize that maybe those were the locations.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So they appealed to the locals for assistance in figuring out exactly where these locations matched.
Oh my God.
That's how big this area is.
Fucking crazy.
On October 21st, they found the badly decomposed body of John Kilbride, which had to be identified by his clothing.
Oh.
That same day, already being held for the murder of Edward Evans, Brady and Hindley were charged with Leslie Ann Downey's murder. The investigating officers suspected Brady and Hindley of murdering other missing children and teenagers who had disappeared from the areas around Manchester over the previous few years, and the search for bodies continued after the discovery of John Kilbride's body, but winter was setting in, so they had to call off their searches. Because at that point, the ground becomes frozen. So presented with the evidence of the tape recording, Brady admitted to taking the photographs of Leslie Ann, but insisted, and this is fucking amazing, like that he even thought this would work. He insisted that she had been brought to his house by two men who had then later again taken her away while she was still alive.
Insane.
Yeah, these two random men show up with a little girl and want me to take these photos, and then they took her away. And
like he's just trying to...
Yeah, right? Like, I'm sorry, if that happened in my house, like if someone showed up with a little girl and said, hey, I want you to take photos of her, I would call the cops the second they left if I felt threatened in that moment.
Yeah.
Because chances are I'm going to grab something and beat the shit out of these men.
Yeah.
But he apparently thought that lie would work.
I guess he's trying everything.
Many of those photographs taken by Brady and Hindley on the moor featured Hindley's dog Puppet, sometimes while he was a puppy. So to help...
Oh, so they're finding out time ranges.
Yes. So to help date the photos, detectives had a veterinary surgeon examine their dog to determine his age.
Very interesting.
Now, this examination required a general anesthesia to be applied to Puppet, but he did not recover.
Oh.
They accidentally killed her fucking dog.
Ooh, anesthesia's dangerous.
So Hindley was furious and accused the police of murdering her dog.
Yup, okay, fair.
And it was one of the few occasions that detectives actually said she showed emotional response to anything.
Oh, I hate that.
Really fucked up. So their 14-day trial began in a specially prepared courtroom on April 19th, 1966. The courtroom had to be fitted with bulletproof glass to protect Brady and Hindley because it was feared that someone might try to kill them.
That's crazy. And then they could just substitute the trial for the person who murdered them, I guess.
Right? Or just let
got a jury and everything.
Or just let that person go.
Yeah, fair enough.
So David Smith was the chief prosecution witness, and he had actually been offered a substantial amount of money for the rights to his stories by news outlets, including People magazine.
What?
Yeah. So during the trial, the judge repeatedly questioned David and his wife, Maureen, Hindley's sister, about the nature of this arrangement. And finally, they had to look at his testimony that was given to police initially and what he was going to be saying, in terms of being on the witness stand. And they concluded that it would not be substantially affected by the financial incentive of what he was offered. And he was allowed to both testify and take this payment.
Wow.
Weird, right?
It is kind of weird, but it also makes sense. They have his unbiased original police interview.
Right. They need to make
He's
sure.
probably just gonna be
yeah.
repeating the same shit.
Right. And that's what they determined. Yeah. Which is crazy that, I mean, I get it, but it's just, to me, the whole idea is crazy.
Yeah.
David Smith became, quote, reviled by the people of Manchester, unquote, for financially profiting from the murders.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Now, during the trial, Maureen, Hindley's sister, she was 8 months pregnant, and she was attacked in the elevator of her building in which she and David Smith lived.
Oh my God.
Their home had been vandalized, and they regularly received hate mail. And Maureen later wrote that she couldn't let her children out of her sight when they were small because she was in fear of their
so
safety.
sad.
Yeah. Now, both Brady and Hindley entered pleas of not guilty.
Crazy.
Brady testified for over 8 hours,
Oh my God.
and Hindley testified for 6.
I don't want to be on that jury.
Fuck that. That's a long day.
Yeah.
Brady admitted to striking Edward Evans with the axe, but claimed that someone else had killed Edward, pointing to something in the pathologist's statement about his death having been, quote, accelerated by strangulation, unquote. Yeah, bullshit. Well, we know he strangled him from David Smith's statement.
Exactly. We already know that.
Now, Hindley denied any knowledge of the photographs up at Saddleworth Moor that the police found, and basically said she had no idea if the pictures were near graves or not. She didn't know what was being talked about.
Bitch.
The 16-minute tape recording of Leslie Ann Downey, on which the voices of Brady and Hindley were audible, was played in open court.
Oh my God. That is fucking awful.
Absolutely terrible. What are they thinking?
Oh, the trauma for everyone in that room.
Everyone. Except maybe Hindley and fucking Brady.
Right. Normal fucking day for them.
Hindley claimed later that when Leslie Ann was being undressed, that she was downstairs. And that when the pornographic photographs were taken, she was, quote, looking out the window, unquote. And that when she was
Insane.
and that when she was being strangled, she was running the bath. Mm-hmm.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like, does she think she's not going to get life in prison? Does she think she's getting out of that? It's crazy.
She's clearly hoping, yes.
Or I don't know if they had the death penalty, so.
We're going to get into that.
Oh, slay.
On May 6th, after having deliberated for a little over 2 hours, the jury found Brady guilty of all 3 murders and Hindley guilty of the murders of Leslie Ann and Edward.
Mm-hmm.
As the death penalty for murder had been abolished while Brady and Hindley were awaiting trial.
Wow.
The judge passed the only sentence that the law allowed, which was life imprisonment. Can you imagine?
No.
That's so fucked up.
Yeah.
So Brady was sentenced to 3 concurrent life sentences, which we've discussed. I hate concurrent life sentences.
It's so stupid.
And Hindley was given 2, plus a concurrent 7-year term for harboring Brady in the knowledge that he had murdered John Kilbride.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just don't get it. But
And they life in prison is life in prison.
although life in prison can get parole.
Right, can get parole.
So at least give it consecutive, then there is no parole.
Right.
So
Okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah. So the judge called Brady, quote, wicked beyond belief, unquote, and said that he saw no reasonable possibility of reform for him, though he did not think the same was necessarily true of Hindley once she was removed from Brady's influence. So it's that reverse sexism again.
It is for real.
Hindley lodged an unsuccessful appeal against her conviction immediately after her trial. She corresponded with Brady by letter until 1971 when she finally ended their relationship.
What the fuck?
Right? Still together in prison, separated. Weird.
Oh, I hate it.
So the two had remained in sporadic contact for several months, but Hindley had fallen in love with one of her prison warders named Patricia Cairns. A former assistant governor claimed that such relationships were not unusual at this particular prison at the time.
Ew.
as many of the officers that worked there were gay and involved in relationships with each other or with the inmates.
That's fucked up.
Really weird, yeah.
Really fucked up and weird.
So with help from Cairns and outside contacts from another prisoner named Maxine Croft, Hindley planned an escape.
Oh my God.
But it was thwarted when an off-duty policeman kind of intercepted these impressions of the prison keys that were being made.
Oh my God.
So Cairns was sentenced to 6 years in jail for her part in that plot.
Damn. Sounds about right.
It's fucking nuts.
Like, as a guard, you would know why people are in there.
Right, exactly. And I don't care if again, it goes back to you fell in love with them, but that's not an excuse.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Yeah, crazy.
Horrific.
So after stabbing another man during a fight in an attack that he claimed was triggered by his abuse suffered during the trial, David Smith was sentenced to 3 years in prison in 1969. On his release from prison, he moved in with a 15-year-old girl.
Oh, bitch, what?
Yep. And that girl would become his second wife, and they would win custody of his 3 sons. Yeah. Maureen Hindley, Hindley's sister, in 1980, she suffered a brain hemorrhage, and Hindley was actually allowed to leave prison to visit her in the hospital, but she arrived 1 hour after she had died.
Oh, that sucks.
So the parents of victim John Kilbride, Sheila and Patrick, who were actually divorced at this point, went to Maureen's funeral, thinking that Hindley might be allowed to go to the funeral.
Oh my God.
Patrick, John Kilbride's father, mistook another man's daughter for Hindley and tried to attack her.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You better not fuck that up if you're going to a funeral and attacking somebody.
Crazy. That's how crazy this case was for that area at that time.
Yeah.
So
that's insane.
Shortly before her death at the age of 70, John Kilbride's mother, Sheila, said that if Hindley ever came out of jail, she would kill her herself.
Go off.
So in 1985, Brady allegedly told a journalist working for the Sunday People that he had killed Pauline Reed and Keith Bennett, something that the police had suspected but couldn't really prove. Police decided to resume their search of Saddleworth Moor once more using photographs taken by Brady and Hindley to help identify possible burial sites.
Oh.
In 1986, Keith Bennett's mother wrote to Hindley begging to know what happened to her son. That letter ended with, quote, "I am a simple woman. I work in the kitchen of Christie's Hospital. It has taken me 5 weeks' labor to write this letter because it is so important to me that it is understood by you for what it is, a plea for help. Please, Miss Hindley, help me," unquote.
Oh.
Fucking tragic. Holy shit.
That is so sad.
So police visited Hindley a few days after she received the letter, and although she refused to admit any involvement in the killings, she agreed to help by looking at photographs and maps to try to identify spots that she had visited with Brady. She showed particular interest in photos of the area around Holland Brown Knoll and Shiny Brook, but said that it was impossible to be sure of the location without visiting the moor.
Oh, of course she's going to say that.
Home security Douglas Hurd agreed that a visit would be worth risking despite security problems presented by threats against Hindley.
Mm-hmm.
So on December 16th, 1986, Hindley made the first of 2 visits to assist police in searching the moor. Police closed all roads onto the moor, which was patrolled by 200 officers. Fucking
Damn,
nuts.
okay.
Yeah. Hindley had difficulty connecting with what she saw with her memories, and the press dubbed the visit a fiasco, a publicity stunt, and a waste of money.
Damn.
On December 19th, David Smith, then 38, spent about 4 hours on the moor helping police identify additional areas to be searched. Now, I find that ironic because supposedly he wasn't involved in any of that.
Yeah, he said he wasn't, but I guess.
So he's either trying to help just for the fame of it, or maybe he's with the photos, but it's weird to me.
Right.
So on February 10th, 1987, Hindley formally confessed to involvement in all 5 murders.
Oh, shit. Like, why?
I don't know. But this was
I wonder
not...
what she thinks she's going to get out of that.
Maybe another visit to the moors, because we know she's going to get to go back there once
True.
more. But that confession wasn't made public for more than a month.
Damn.
Yeah. Her tape-recorded confession was over 17 hours long.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
That's all big old confession.
So police visited Brady in prison again and told him of Hindley's confession, which at first he refused to believe. But once presented with some of the details that Hindley had provided about Pauline Reed's abduction, Brady decided that he too was prepared to confess, but on one condition: that he would immediately be given the means to commit suicide.
Oh. Damn, okay.
Yeah, obviously they can't do that, right?
Right, they can't, but like...
So fucked up. So at the same time, Johnson sent Hindley another letter. This is the mother of the boy, pleading again to have her assist police in finding the body of Keith.
Oh.
In that letter, she was sympathetic to Hindley over the situation and the criticism surrounding her first visit. So Hindley made a second visit to the moor in March of 1987.
Mm-hmm.
This time, the level of security surrounding her visit was considerably higher. Hindley confirmed to police that the 2 areas in which they were concentrating their search was correct, although she was unable to pinpoint an exact location of either graves. She did, though, later remember that Pauline Reed while she was being buried, that she was sitting next to her on a patch of grass where she could look out at the silhouette of the night sky. So she was kind of able to help them piece a little bit more of that together.
Right, like give some like weird clues.
Yeah. Now, in April of 1987, her confession became public. Yeah, which just caused more controversy and more hatred.
Of course.
So over the next few months, though, as they kept searching, interest in the search began to wane. And Hindley's, her clues were less and less specific, so they kind of just stopped talking to her altogether.
Yeah, she just wasn't given.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like, I don't know if I could pinpoint something like that a year later, let alone 10 years later.
Yeah.
But then again, I've also never killed someone, so that's such a huge moment.
Yeah.
As the search was winding down on July 1st, after more than 100 days of searching, they found Pauline Reed's body. It was buried 3 feet below the surface, but only 100 yards from where Leslie Ann Downey's body had been found.
Damn.
Crazy.
That's crazy.
They just must not have been digging deep enough. I mean, I don't know
I
how...
guess. That's not very deep. 3 feet, you said?
No, that's what I'm saying, but it was their first victim, so he may have buried that one deeper than all the others.
You mean him, not the police. I get you.
Right, exactly. Brady had been cooperating with the police for some time at this point, and then when he finally heard the official release of Hindley's confession, he agreed to also go to the moor and help them search. He was taken
And
to
it's like, how many bodies are there left at this point?
Just one. Just Keith Bennett, the one whose mother keeps writing.
Right, the mother is pleading.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So he was taken to the moor on July 3rd, but seemed to lose his bearings, claiming everything had changed in the intervening years. And the search was called off by 3 p.m. that day, by which time a large crowd of press and television reporters had gathered. Now, Brady was taken to the moor a second time on December 8th and claimed to have located Keith Bennett's burial site, but the body was never found.
Oh, that sucks.
Although Brady and Hindley had confessed to the murders of Pauline Reed and Keith Bennett, the decision was made that nothing would be gained by another trial, as they were both already serving life sentences and no further punishment could possibly be inflicted.
That's true. And it's not worth putting the families through the trauma.
Exactly. So Leslie Ann Downey's mother died in 1999 of cancer of the liver. Since her daughter's death, she had campaigned to ensure that Hindley remained in prison, and doctors said that the stress of that had contributed to the severity of her illness.
Oh, that's so fucking awful.
Between December 1997 and March 2000, Hindley made 3 separate appeals against her life sentence, claiming that she was a reformed woman and no longer a danger to society. But
shut up, bitch.
But all of those appeals were rejected.
Naturally, as they should be.
Now, I'm including this next little tidbit because of the bizarre coincidence in the title. Okay?
Okay.
In 2001, Brady wrote a book, and it was called The Gates of Janus.
Oh.
Right? And it was published by the U.S. underground publisher Feral House. The book was Brady's analysis of serial murder and specific serial killers that sparked outrage when announced in the UK. You can actually...
Of course.
Right? And you can still find a copy of this book online if you're so inclined to read it. I just think it's crazy that it has Janus in the title.
Yeah, that's... What is...
So Janus is the Roman god of transition and new beginnings.
Oh, interesting.
So I was dubbed Janus Dead because my whole life has been constant transition and new beginnings. And even now, at turning 50 this year, I find myself at the precipice of a new beginning. So
this is true.
It has been very much the defining characteristic of my life. So when I was given the name Janus Dead by Daisy Dead of the Dead Deads, it was the most perfect name she could have chosen.
Yeah.
And when someone names you after a god, you say yes.
Yes, we say yes.
Yes. So, on November 15th, 2002, Myra Hindley, age 60 and a chain smoker, died of bronchial pneumonia. And 4 months later, her ashes were scattered by her ex-partner, Patricia Cairns, less than 10 miles from Saddleworth Moor.
Fucked! What the fuck?
How fucked up is that?
What the fuck?
It's so fucking weird.
Oh, I hate that. That one, I hate that a special amount.
Yeah. Like now her ashes are intermingled with the unfound body of Keith Bennett.
Oh, that breaks my fucking heart.
Yep. So in 2003, the police launched Operation Maida and again searched the moor for Keith Bennett's body. This time they were using sophisticated resources such as a U.S. reconnaissance satellite, which could detect soil disturbances.
Oh, very cool.
In November of 2007, 5 years later, a man by the name of John Straffen, who had spent 55 years in prison for murdering 3 children, died in prison. Now, there's a reason we're talking about him.
Okay.
This meant that at that time, once he died, Ian Brady became the longest-serving prisoner in England and Wales. So
Impressive.
So I don't know, just a little note.
Yeah, just interesting.
So in mid-2000, unfortunately, Bennett's body has never been recovered. Keith Bennett's body.
That's so sad.
But in mid-2009, investigators said they had exhausted all avenues for search for his body, and quote, only a major scientific breakthrough or fresh evidence would see the hunt for his body restart, unquote.
Ugh.
So it was stated that
God.
any further participation by Brady would be via a walkthrough of the moors virtually using 3D modeling rather than have him visit the moor again.
That's appropriate.
100%. He was probably just volunteering to do it just to get out of his cell.
For real.
Now, David Smith, he died of cancer in Ireland in 2012. And Keith Bennett's mother continued to visit Saddleworth Moor, where it's believed that her son was buried until her death in August of 2012. So she never stopped going there, which I don't blame her.
So heartbreaking. No, of course, because that's, if anything, that's you visiting your son's grave.
Yeah, and that was 30 plus years of her going there.
Oh.
It's so fucked up.
So fucked up. That's almost 40, yeah.
Yeah. Remember I told you to put a pin in the briefcases that were hidden?
Oh, yeah. The suitcases, you mean?
Yeah, the suitcases, yeah. So in 2017, they didn't open all of them. So in 2017, the police asked the court to issue an order to have them opened. arguing
What the fuck? I can't believe they were sitting on this evidence the whole time.
the whole
What
time.
the fuck? Even the whole court case. They didn't this massive piece of evidence. Holy shit.
Sorry, your response is amazing.
Hey, what?
So they asked for permission to open them, arguing that there might be clues to the location of Keith Bennett's body. Their application was declined
Bruh.
on the grounds that no prosecution was likely to result. What the fuck? Open those cases.
Open the fucking case.
Why didn't they open them back in the 60s?
I want to know.
So weird to me. So after receiving end-of-life care, Brady died of restrictive pulmonary disease on May 15th, 2017. In November of 2017, it was revealed that, without the knowledge of her family, some of Pauline Reed's remains, including her jawbone, had been kept at the University of Leeds by the Greater Manchester Police.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Without the family's knowledge?
They didn't even tell her family that some of her remains were being kept at a nearby university.
That's fucking insane and disgusting.
The police obviously apologized to her family once it came out, but what the fuck?
Like, what does your apology even matter?
Exactly. And in October
Damn.
of 2018, her remains were reburied at her grave in Manchester.
Ugh.
Yeah. So September of 2022, the Greater Manchester Police began a search for human remains on the moor after receiving information from an amateur investigator and author Russell Edwards, who had reportedly found a skull there.
Huh. Okay.
So after seeing a photograph of a jawbone, a spokesperson for the police said of the identity of the remains that it was far too early to be certain. But on October 1st, the police reported that no further remains had been found. And after a week of searching, they found nothing more. They're not even sure what that skull was all about. And that's it.
Just a skull.
Just and it's not even clear it was there and this guy found it, or if this guy was just trying to get like fame out of it.
Yeah, who knows?
Really weird. But unfortunately, as I said, Keith Bennett's body has never been recovered.
Ugh.
And that is the case of the Moors murders.
Well, shit, man. That was oof.
It's a roller coaster.
It was. Man, fuck these people. Also, what's in the fucking suitcase? Open it.
Right? After all this time, just fucking open it. Whose privacy
After
are you
all
protecting?
the time they spent searching these fucking places. What if there was evidence in there? What if there was a picture directly of the grave? Like, there could have been.
What if his body is in one of those cases?
Dude, I haven't even.
Right?
I hate that idea.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah. Could you imagine if that's what it was?
I'm literally nauseous. Like, oh, ew. I hate it.
Yeah. So, and the sad part is the only real good image of Myra Hindley is one, like, I think it's her mug shot, and she does not look attractive in this photo. But when you look at like younger photos of her, she actually was an attractive woman. But
Well, it makes sense how she was luring all these people in.
right, but that one photo is the real famous one. So when you look at that photo and because that's what I imagine in my head every time I think of her, it's like, how? But you got to remember
Right.
that. Yeah, it's crazy. And obviously we'll be posting pictures of all this on our Instagram, so go check that out. And we are on Facebook. Lynn pointed out that she didn't know we were also on Facebook. So you can look up Unsung Murder Ballads on Facebook as well and interact with us there.
Yes, that's true. If you're on an Instagram girly, please find us elsewhere.
Yeah, we really should branch out to probably I almost said Tinder. What's the other one? TikTok.
TikTok. Oh God, I had to quit TikTok. I got too addicted.
Yeah, I don't use it, so I don't really know. So
Yeah.
I did create
maybe
an
you
account.
wouldn't get addicted to it because you don't have a broken Gen Z brain like I do.
I don't know. Like I guess so, because I'm just not. I don't know. Like I spend all my time on YouTube, and I probably am watching TikTok videos, but just
100%.
Yeah.
They're just on other. If you watch Instagram Reels, they're the same thing.
yeah. So I mean, I generally don't, but I just like. I don't know. I typically watch those things that are produced for YouTube. You know, like
True.
the top 10 sci-fi movies or something.
Oh, okay.
Those are the things
no,
I
TikTok
enjoy.
is short videos.
Yeah, That's kind of why I assume I didn't like it.
Yeah. Okay, welcome to another For Janus information. Here's what TikTok is.
Well, like I said, I downloaded it. I have an account. I just never go on there.
Yeah, I think it's specifically programmed for a specific brain rot that my generation has. It's like it really gets into our brain rot.
Well, I can tell you. So, and this is a little side note, but if you watch the Star Wars trilogies as trilogies, right?
Mm-hmm.
The ones that came out when I was a kid, the original trilogy, are much slower. The pacing is slow. I mean, I
Yeah.
love them, but they're slow. And then
Yeah,
you watch,
old movies are hard to watch because they're slow.
right? And when you watch the prequel trilogies, one that came out 20 years ago, those are paced a little better. But when you get
Yep.
to the new ones, they are rapid fire. So
Yeah,
much
it's a
shit is
lot.
happening. But that's how the younger generations progressed.
Mm-hmm. It's information overload
Correct. So that's
all
and
the
that's
time.
the difference.
Always.
Right. And that to me is where everything's going. But thank you everyone for joining us. We'll be back next week. Once again, I am Janice Dead,
And I'm Joyous Dead.
and we'll see you soon.
Bye.